What's up, everybody? Well, I had to actually come back and redo this whole intro. There was no sound. I don't know what the heck happened, but whatever. So basically, what we're going to do in this video is try to get this motherboard to work. I didn't think it was actually going to work, but I figured, hey, let's give it a shot. But hey, then I was pleasantly surprised. But right now, we're just going to go over all the different things that we've got here. I think I got pretty much everything we need here out on the table. I got 2 different GPUs. We got ourselves an M.2. I just put 1 stick of just regular old RAM that doesn't even have XMP. I got the power button, so I don't have to sit there with a screwdriver and keep jumping it over and over again. A nice cooler that's actually more reasonably sized for this kind of CPU. The last cooler I put on it was pretty mondo ginormo. I would say probably a little oversized for it. But hey, it was like $26 or $24 or something like that, so it's not like we broke the bank. It was just a little silly and oversized. This little guy should be a lot better. Then we got our 10400F that I thought was still good, but I thought the motherboard was dead this whole time pretty much. But that's pretty much that. Well, all right. We got everything hooked up. We got our little teeny tiny little CP cooler. That's all that little thing really needs. That other one was way overpowered. And then we got ourselves our GT1030. I'm gonna try that first. I got a little tiny little, similar to the Hot Rod PC, I got a little button there so I don't have to sit there with a freaking screwdriver and hope I'm hitting the right area. Now, I don't remember if I hooked it up right. It doesn't actually say plus or minus for that switch. I don't even know if it matters. Well, actually, I know it matters because I've hooked it up backwards and then it didn't work. So if it doesn't work right away, I might just try flipping that around real quick. But if it doesn't have any signs of life at all, I'm just gonna call it dead. Still try a couple things off camera, but I'm not gonna sit here with you guys and make you watch me do 20 minutes of let's put this GPU in, let's put the RAM in the other slot, that kind of shit. You know, I don't think nobody wants to watch me do that anyway. Other people can watch way more interesting people do that. So instead, I'm gonna take ourselves a little hit, and as far as I can tell, I think we got everything hooked up. Got monitor hooked up, it's got power, we've got the power supply, I think clicked on. I'll also check that. Let's see, is it line? Yeah, line means good, I'm pretty sure. Line means power go through. Circle means power stop, if I remember correctly. Maybe I got that backwards. Oh, and we didn't need SATA anymore, so we were able to get rid of another cable. So that's always good. I got a 512 gig SSD on the back, M.2. I'm just using the old Firebat M.2 since we're never gonna use it for anything else. So why don't we do what we usually do, and we'll just take ourselves a little hit of hope. It'll either work and post, and that'd be kind of cool, I doubt it, or it won't work, and it'll be a hit of disappointment. But at least then I'll be like, yeah, whatever. But I'm kind of not expecting this to work anyway. I tried a bunch of stuff off camera before and it didn't work, but I just thought it'd be fun to make a little video trying to get it to work, and if it doesn't, well, then we'll just get another motherboard for even cheaper than it is, because that thing's kind of overpriced for what it is, and we don't need all that extra hubbaloo for our 10400F. So let's take ourselves that hitski. Give it a nice weed smoke baptism there. Alrighty, well, so I don't just get in the whole shot. Let's see if I hooked anything up right. Well, apparently I did, but whether or not it'll actually post and do anything, on the other hand, that's an entirely different story. Oh, nope. Well, sometimes they'll restart a couple times for training. Oh, see? Look, I fucking tried so hard to get this just to do this last time, and all I had to do was freaking make a video for you guys and gaslight it into working. I love using reverse psychology. Oh, maybe too fast. Maybe we're celebrating too fast. What's it doing? All right, we're in the BIOS now. Now let's see if it restarts or anything while I just kind of shoot the shit with you. I think it just was like, okay, well, he's not doing anything, so I guess I'll just restart. But if it's gonna sit here and just randomly restart like that, that motherboard's probably cooked. We can't have a computer just randomly restart every 5 seconds. I gotta say though, I haven't used too many BIOSTAR motherboards, but I gotta say, that's a really nice BIOS. That looks very well done. Everything's pretty high res, and this thing's an older board. This is from like the 10 series. I've seen stuff today with BIOSes that look like they're going back in time, where we're going back to just basic what have you stuff. But color me surprised. I thought this wasn't gonna work, to be honest with you. I thought for sure that this was just gonna go, oh, well, you're screwed. So obviously we're not gonna use an 8 gig stick of RAM. So I'm obviously going to want to use some different RAM, but we've got some nice 2400 megahertz DDR4 we can use. Yeah, it's not ideal, but for a 10400F, I don't think too many people would notice the difference between 2400 and 3000. You're probably missing out on what, 2 FPS or something like that on a system like this. Now, if you were trying to do it on the 10700K, all overclocked to like 5 gigahertz or something, then you'd probably miss out on like 10 or 15 FPS or something like that. That might be overzealous, but who knows? But I'm surprised. We could not get this thing to post whatsoever with that 10700K. So it must just not have liked that CPU, but that's fine. This thing will be fine. Let's see, what's our CPU at right now? 30 degrees, system temperature is 33. That's probably that little, I'm imagining that's that little heat, that little silver heat sink right there. That's what I'm imagining, but I don't know. So far so good though. It hasn't randomly restarted or anything. I don't have a mouse hooked up, but I don't think it's frozen or anything. I guess we could try to move around. No, it's not frozen. Just, I kind of forgot. It's not like it's doing a whole lot. We can see the CPU temperature moving though, between 30 and 31. But that little cooler should be fine. I think it's what, a 6 heat pipe cooler? That should be plenty for a 65 watt. But all right, shit. With that, well, we've already got Windows installed, but I feel like we should probably reinstall Windows because it's probably gonna be all messed up. You know what I mean? Because it's gonna think it's the Firebat still. And if that is an AMD system and all that shit, I don't think that'd be a good idea. So I'm just gonna go ahead and while we have it turned on, might as well install Windows and all that shit. And then we can go ahead and I can just, all I really need to order for it is a GPU. Because what is this thing? This thing is not gonna cut it. This thing would be all right for indie games and whatnot, but what was this thing? An RX 5070 OC 4 gigabyte. So does not have enough VRAM to really be that useful for much. Even a lot of indie games today use more than that. Anyway though, enough blabbery before I've been sitting here for 7 minutes. It hasn't restarted. It hasn't done anything else goofy. Well, color me surprised. I thought this was gonna be a big fail video. So how funny is that? I think it's gonna be a success. It fails. I think it's gonna be a fail. It's a success. It just loves to just pull fast ones on me. But I guess let's go see if we can install Windows. Well, actually, I'm gonna go install the correct RAM on it, and then we'll try to like just see if it boots into Windows. Well, actually, no. We'll just install Windows. Screw that. We don't need it to do any of that shit because it's probably gonna fuck something up, and then it'll do weird shit like the 10700K. I can't activate Windows on that for whatever reason. It tells me no, you got to go install Home, and I never told it to be Home. The only thing I can think of is I hooked this one up for a second, and then it probably got confused or something. But whatever. I'm gonna go do all that boring stuff off camera, and I'll let you know if it does anything goofy. Well, hell yeah. So far, we're just installing Windows. Haven't had a single crash, blue screen, or a single issue. So far, this has been the polar opposite of what I was expecting. Why couldn't my other two builds go this easy? This was super easy. Put a bunch of stuff on a box and make sure it works. This is also what I failed to do with my other two. If I had put them together on a box before putting them all in the system and doing all that stuff like you should, especially with used components, wouldn't have happened. So that's also just a lesson. Kind of a do as I say, not as I do situation. Had I done the proper thing, we wouldn't have had all that extra work. We could have just gone, oh, the CPU is probably broken, blah, blah, blah is broken. Let's try some stuff. And then we could have tried all this stuff and been like, oh, finally posts. Let's install Windows outside the case, make sure everything works. And as soon as everything works, then you can plop everything in the case. That's what I'd recommend doing during a build. Kind of like we're doing right here. You can even use a GPU you don't care that much about, that you know works, like my trusty GT 1030. A lot of other people use a 730, but I don't know. I found this one for like $15 free shipping. So I was like, fuck yeah, I'll take that as long as it works. I fully expected it to be a paperweight, not even work, but hey, it's been working, and it's been working for 5.5, 6 years as just a test GPU. So that works. And we've had that little RAM thing that I had, that little just old school stick of RAM, SK Hynix, 8 gig, 2400 as well, no XMP, no nothing. And I think I had that about the same. Those are just my two trusty things. I know they work, so those are just the ones I use to make sure a system posts. If it doesn't work with this GPU, I know it's not, or if it doesn't post even with this GPU, I know it's not the GPU's fault or the RAM's fault, so on and so forth. Now this thing did something weird to me. There was one thing that it messed up on. It didn't post when I installed all 16 gigs of RAM. I had to turn it off and put them in the correct order. It wanted a certain one in front of the CPU and a certain stick in the other one. If you had them wrong, even though they're the same damn chip, it didn't care. It would not give you nothing. So at least we figured that out, and every time it's restarted for Windows updates and installations, we haven't had any more no posts. So I think we got that fixed. So as long as we can turn XMP on, we should be good. Not like that'll do too much anyway, though. It'll go from probably 2133 to 2400. So we might get an FPS or two, but if it starts crashing and blue screening, we know exactly what did it, and then we can turn it right the hell back off. But for now, I'm not even gonna turn it on. I figured leave it off until you get Windows installed. You don't want weird shit going on messing with your Windows installations. Anyway, I just wanted to pop in for a quick second just to let you guys know everything's actually going well for a change. Now, things could change right when we get into Windows and all the nonsense starts happening, but I doubt it. I think we'll just pop back in as soon as we get into Windows. Well, we're now in Windows. Still not a single blue screen, not a single restart that shouldn't have happened. We've been doing good with this little build. I'm still surprised. I figured this was gonna be a total fail video. It was gonna take like 10 minutes, not post, no matter what I do, and I was like, son of a bitch, we have to get a different motherboard, which I actually would have liked a little bit. Then we could have saved a little money on the build, because that PSU and that motherboard are a little overpriced because of their size. But I still think we could make a nice $430 or $450 build for it, or for out of all these parts. Because that RAM, nothing special. You can get that RAM for like probably 45 bucks or something on eBay. I mean, the cooler was $14 on Amazon. You could probably get the fractal thing. If I remember correctly, I found those for like 70, 80 bucks. But compared to comparable 650 watt things that were going for like 40, it was pretty overpriced for its size. But still, it's not like it's a $200 thing used. So, I mean, that would take up half of our budget right there just for power supply. So, I figured we'd go with something like a 7600 non-XT. I think that would be a good GPU for this thing. And then if we wanted to, we could install SteamOS on it, and it could be our SteamOS machine. How fun would that be? And then I kind of want to get a 5600X for my Alienware and see if that's still fine. If it was really just a 5800X that died right just then, well, okay. Put a new 5600X that's 65 watts. Should be way better for that 120 mil radiator that's in there. It shouldn't get as loud, and it shouldn't kill that, because I know that thing was working. It was getting warm in the tubes, and it pushed a bunch of hot air out the top, so I know it was working. It ain't gonna push nothing if it ain't pushing no liquid around. Anyway though, I'm just gonna let this thing keep downloading Cyberpunk, and as soon as I decide on whatever GPU to get for it, I will probably go ahead and let you guys know. But for now, I'm just gonna probably go do one more little video, or a little tiny little update once it's done with this and I get everything up to date, just to say if anything's broken or restarted or not, and then it's just a waiting game. But luckily you guys won't have to wait, because I can do video editing. Maybe not the best in the world, but I can at least edit shit together so it's not like you're waiting for a week. How lame would that be if you had to wait as long as I had to in videos? Either way, let's let this thing do its download. It seems to be doing some wonky shit where it's not going full speed and getting stuck. Maybe Windows started doing some shit in the background. You never know. Maybe the SSD's overheating. Again, you never know. But anyway, let's let it do its thing. Well, alright, it installed every update it needed to do, downloaded Cyberpunk, and we did driver booster, and seems like everything is alright. I mean, unless stuff starts gonna go down the hill when we enable XMP. I haven't done that yet. Figured we'd wait until we get the new GPU. And like I said, I think we'll get a 7600. I think that'd be a great GPU for a system like this. And that should keep us right around our $430 to $450 budget. But now, it is the waiting game. But luckily you guys don't have to wait. Next time we pop the camera on, we should have whatever GPU I picked for it. Well, alright guys, it's been a couple of days, almost a week, but we finally got our GPU we've decided on for that build. And boy, oh boy, did I get lucky with this one. So this build would probably not be able to be a $400 build if I hadn't gotten lucky on this GPU, or it would just not be as powerful as it is. But what we have here is a reference model 7600 non-XT, because the XTs were just too pricey. I could not find any that weren't just parts or repair for a decent price. But it's just reference 7600. I got it a badass deal on it. I think it was like 164 or 65 out the door, because one of the display ports supposedly does not work. No, nothing. But there's 3 display ports and 1 HDMI. So as long as it's not the HDMI that's fucked up, we should be good. We really just need HDMI to hook it up to the capture computer, because it's not like this is a computer I'm going to use constantly. It's mostly just for content, just to show people what you can make, and so I can go show people what they can expect gameplay-wise on a computer such as this. Well, you guys don't know what the computer will be yet. Well, some of you do that are subscribed for a while, but 10400F, this thing, nice 512 SSD, you know, it should be a pretty nice solid thing. I made this to basically compete with the Switch 2 and the Series S, which it should beat both of them still. So, with that all said, let's take a quick look at the card really quick, just for fun. It is just a reference card, so it's not the coolest thing ever, but I still think it looks pretty neat personally. Pass through for all of the things, so it's got plenty of airflow on the top and bottom. It's even got a nice little red mark right there. That was something they were doing before. Like a little red racing stripe. All we need is 1 8-pin instead of 2. We used to use 2 when we used to have the 3080. So one of these ports, I don't remember which one they said it was, but one of these display ports doesn't work. That's how I got it so cheap. But other than that, it looks like a solid contender, as long as it's not actually dead. And the person had lots of sales and feedback, so I doubt it. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Nothing too crazy. It's just a reference model card, but it's small, so it should easily fit in the case. It should be pretty quiet. Hopefully it won't be as loud as the 3080. That Dell or Alienware RTX 3080 is so loud, but it's got about the same size fans, so you never know. But it also doesn't take even remotely close to the same power. 2 8-pins, I think that's 320 watts when I'm in games to 330. This thing will probably pull like 150 or something like that, 140, 130. That's just what I'm I'm guessing. We'll see when we get in there though. Oh yeah, I forgot to hit autofocus again. Sorry about that. I love that button. I turned it off because when I make gameplay videos, we don't want the thing constantly like focusing in, going in, out, and out. That's distracting as hell. People yelled at me, so I stopped that a long time ago. Anyway, why don't we get this thing into the computer and then we can actually get ourselves some gameplay and see how it actually handles games. And then I can put it in the rotation with the rest of the systems. And of course, we'll get some B-roll of the computer and all that too, of course. Well, alrighty, we got our 7600 all installed and it was running for 2 or 3 days with the GT 1030 just sitting on the desktop. Didn't freeze, didn't crash. Watched some YouTube on it, did a bunch of stuff trying to get it to crash. Never crashed or did anything funny. Started up and restarted every single time I wanted it to. So hopefully all will be fine when we hit that power button and we'll get right into Windows. We can install the drivers for the GPU and all that good stuff and everything will be great. Or it might be lame and for whatever reason with a dedicated GPU it might just be like, nope, no output. We're not going to let you see any picture. And maybe that's all that was happening with the 3080. Who knows? And when we were putting that 10700K in. But who knows? It was working before, should work now. So let's take a quick little hit before we hit that power button and we'll see if we can boot into Windows or not. All right, big ol' hit. And all right, let's cross our fingers and toes. I didn't even bother putting all the panels on because I didn't know if it was going to actually give us power out. Well, the fucking monitor already lit up, so that's already a good sign, I think. We'll see. There you go. Cool. I was hopeful, but you never know. They could lie to you on eBay listing. We could get into it, install drivers, and then it turns into acid trip mode. So I'm not going to toot my horn yet, but we should be good. But I guess I'm going to go ahead and install drivers, make sure nothing goofy is happening, and then we'll get some B-roll, and then we'll play ourselves some Cyberpunk. So here's the settings we're going to run. Still not perfect. There's a spot here and there. It was still dropping down to like 58, 59 every once in a blue moon, but for the most part, you're well over 60. So works for me, especially for a system that's under $500. All right, I think that's plenty. Why don't we go ahead and go run a quick bench? So we average 98.98, minimum 78.83, and max 123.5. There's all the rest of our specs right there. Yeah, this is a pretty damn badass little computer, I'd say, for the money. And that CPU and GPU match each other much better now. But alright, let's go get ourselves some actual gameplay, because that's what counts more than anything.
Arguing with you's pointless. You started it.
¡Ahí te va la reata! I am the hand of God. ¡Qué chingados!
Now, ladies and gentlemen, the infamous slums of...
Alright, let's get a little camera recording gameplay now.
¿Qué fue eso?
Try me, puta, I'll fuck you up.
We'll see. So far, you don't seem to be doing a good job.
Ah, get the bitch! I'm going! Cover me!
NCPD! Neutralizing the suspect! Moving in!
Somebody help me!
Ah!
Under your treads as if you were walking over them barefoot. Explosions everywhere.
Yeah, so far I think I saw one starter drop us down like 58 or 59. There's probably some spots that'll still drop under 60. Hanging right at that mark here. That's why I want to go to a more populated place. So Dogtown and stuff like that, the most popular places with these settings, you might still drop down in the high 50s. It's the CPU. You can only do so much. Because as you can see, the CPU, GPU with the FSR on is not always hitting 100% utilization. Or should it? You're almost always going to be CPU bottleneck with that when you're on and you're using upscaling. But we got way more FPS like that than we did native. Native would be dropping under these settings, so I figured why the hell? Why don't we just use some FSR? We can use FSR4, so why the hell not?
Hey, show some respect.
No. Anyway, though, I think with that, we can go ahead and wrap this video on up. Well, alright guys, that's a wrap for the video. And now we have yet another PC to make videos on. And I'm still pretty adamant about trying to fix that Alienware too. If the 5800X is the only reason it died, what's stopping us from throwing like a 5600X in there? I think that'd be a much better match for that small little 120 radiator. And then we could just throw in like a 2080 Ti or something like that. You can still find those for like $250 to $300. And we could make ourselves another $600 system. Because now we've got, this is a 400 and something. If I remember correctly, let me go. I took a screenshot of my calculator after adding it up. It was $447. So I think this is one hell of a computer for under $500. So pretty badass. And now we have another computer we can make game videos on. So that is awesome. And like I said, I'm still going to try and fix that Alienware too. And I think after that, that's probably enough. Any more other than maybe a Steam machine. If I can ever get one for a not scalped price, I'll probably get that too, just for shits and giggles. Then I think we'll be good for a little while. Unless we're upgrading stuff and what have you. Then usually I'll always make another computer out of all the old computers junk, you know? But hell yeah, I'm glad we didn't have to just throw that motherboard out and it wasn't dead. I don't know why it wouldn't work for me with that 10700K, but whatever. That's probably for the best. It probably wouldn't have liked that very much anyway. And who knows, maybe its performance would have been neutered. I doubt it, but you never know. I have had that happen way in the past with old 6-core AMD chips. Those Phenom or Phenom or whatever you want to call them. I think they were Phenom, but I'd call them Phenom just to piss people off. And then I'd go back in the same video and call it Phenom, then go back to Phenom. I just like messing around with people when they get so serious about stuff. Now, if I was making a serious video that was 100% about facts and then I messed up, absolutely, then I'd be like, oh, sorry, I'll try to do better. But when people mess up over a silly little thing, get a big old head over that and you kill yourselves over mispronunciation, that's a little much, I think. But anyway, that's all for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, because I sure as hell enjoyed making it for you guys. And I'd do a peace out with the old righty, but old righty still ain't working the way I want it to anyway. So, left-handed peace out, and until the next video.